I was asked to speak about building beyond you. And I was reflecting, how do we live and work in such a way that the value we create continues long after we are gone, in different situations. For me, it began while I was at the university. Before I attended University of Nairobi, I was at Strathmore College, where I was studying accounting. And at Strathmore, we used to have some talks. There used to be some talks given on just personal formation. And one talk that struck me was the issue of sanctification of work. That work is a form of prayer. And when you do a good job, you actually sanctifying not just that work, but you're offering that work as a form of worship and as a form of service. And that idea of sanctification of work stuck with me, and has been what has been my hallmark, is that I don't work necessarily to make a living. I work because God has blessed me with talents, and those talents I'm there to serve humanity with that ability, and therefore whatever it is you do, it's an offering to God, and that became my foundational philosophy. How life comes to you is very much a reflection of how you see it. In every situation, you can always see the positive in the situation, and to remain positive. So my perception has always been, I don't see myself as an employee. I see myself as a business person serving. The corporate is my client. So I have a client, and I'm there to serve the needs of my client. So I said, okay, all that can be done. At least you are clear what it is that you want to do. So I put together a proposal or a business plan, and then I presented it to the board. And I remember them asking me, how much do you want to be paid? The salary. Oh, then I said, that's a good question. That's a question for the people we'll employ. For me, I'm not a member of staff. I'm a business partner. So what we do, I asked, we're in the office of one of our directors who was running a bank. So I asked him, if chairman here puts money with you, what deposit are you giving them rate? Then he said, we'll give 10%. Then I said, because we are taking risk, let's have a benchmark of 15%. So any return up to 15%, we've not really added value because you've taken risk. But anything above 15%, I get 20% of what is above 15% return. And then said, okay, on the salary, what is it? I said, no, there's no issue. You write the letter, insert whatever number you want there. It can be as low as it is. And if after 2 years you don't get the value, or 3 years, I will leave and I can refund you. You can invoice me for whatever you've paid me, because then I'll not have added much value to you. Needless to say, after about 4 years, there was a story that I was the highest paid CEO. That's how I got paid, because it was not the salary, it was my share of profit. So I've not been on a salary. I've been on largely a share of the profit above the hurdle rate of 15%. Then I said we'll get the 20%. Then I'll distribute to all these people we are working with. We'll share. That's what the media, because they are not understood the concept. It's not even their fault. It's my fault. I have not taken time to explain how this model how the model works. But it's really been a journey of building enterprises, and you have to do it at scale and rapidly. As you progress and as you continue to mature, then I realized, look, I have a platform to build beyond our own organization. And the realization was that the constraint we face today as a country is that we're operating in very small markets. So if you look at Nigeria, it's a fairly large market. The population is 300 million people. The GDP is fairly big, and that's why you have dollar billionaires in Nigeria, and you may not have dollar billionaires in Kenya, not because we're not hardworking, just a market issue. But I'm a believer that you can do something about any situation. And one of the thoughts we had a few years ago was, what if we create a platform that opens up the market for services to the rest of the world, so that you're not constrained by the small market that you have in Kenya? And that's why we created a special economic zone for services. So we're the first ones to create a special economic zone for services. And I remember that was in the context when the currency had depreciated. And I was in a delegation that went to see the president from KEPSA. So as we were going, I said, oh, no. I cannot be a purveyor of problems. I must leave everyone better than I found them. So I said, Your Excellency, I think I have a solution. If we concentrate on export of services, we can bring in dollars. And also they can employ our young people. But what we need is to create a special economic zone for services so that you remove the friction between now the exports, because there's no VAT, there's no withholding tax, you can bring the equipment duty-free. And my solution, I don't need even a coin from government, because I'm not asking you to build anything. I want to help. So let's take Two Rivers and we'll make it an SEZ. I'll raise the money and we'll run with it, and we'll run services and we'll create jobs. That you have 800,000 young people who are joining the labor force, and we're only creating 100,000 jobs. That must concern each and every person in this room. What are these 700,000 people to do? Nobody will solve that problem but ourselves.